Yo, it's the Frickin' Frack Show, a podcast for the fans by the fans. This is the Frickin' Frack Show, a podcast for the fans by the fans.
Frickin' Frack Show, a podcast for the fans by the fans.
All right, guys, you're watching the Frickin' Frack Show podcast for the
fans by the fans.
Woo.
My man.
Another week, man. What's happening?
You know what's crazy is as we were doing the video, I was thinking in my head, I was like, one of us has to say, another week, another episode. Hey, we're back. And you got it. It's crazy. It's mind reading at this point.
I know, man. We're pretty close to, actually, with this episode, we might be at 80 episodes. Might be the special 80 episode. Yeah, it's been crazy, man. It's been, almost 100 episodes is just bizarre, and it's unbelievable in every way.
Yep. It still blows my mind each and every week. And now, we're kind of ramping up things to where, we're collecting videos, and that's where we wanted to be. And that was a goal of ours. And I've enjoyed every second of it with you, but hey, this week it's going to be a good one, right? I mean, we've got not just our very special guest, but then we got a special guest on top of that, which is kind of turning into a little reoccurring segment. I mean, we're making it a thing, I'm excited about it,
Oh yeah, man. It's the guests we're gonna have, man. Mr. David. We've watched him. I know it might make him feel a little old, but like we've watched him as children. I'm gonna say literally children because I was a child, man. I was 6, 7 years old. Look at me, Mr. David. I'm grown. But like it's remarkable to have this man here, someone we've literally looked up to our entire life. But I'm very, very excited about him coming on. And then we have a very surprised guest who will be appearing in probably most of the episode. I think he should be in most of the episodes. So
he's helping carrying on the legacy on the road. Yeah, okay. Look at us, jeez, man. Yeah. Okay, all right. Now it's getting weird. Let's get into the episode. All right,
do it, man.
We got Mr. David J. Fielding on today. Thanks for being here, my man.
Hey.
Hello. You haven't aged a day.
No, man. That's incredible.
Yeah, I'm not as big and blue as I used to be.
Yeah, what kind of tank did they put you in, man? You look preserved.
Well, it was a very spa-like atmosphere in there, It's very nice for the skin.
We definitely can tell, man. What's happening, Mr. David? How you doing?
I'm good. It's been a little chilly here lately, but other than that, just, plugging along, doing my thing.
Awesome.
By chilly, okay, explain chilly, all right? Because I know Caleb and I have different definitions.
Well, we actually had snow here not too long ago, and it dropped down to like 16, 17 degrees at night. So,
it's a little cold.
Yeah, nothing that's not unusual for the area, but it seems to doesn't fluctuate as much as it did when I was younger. So I don't know if that's climate change or if, the pole is shifting or what, but we seem to get a lot more frosty air down here than we normally do. So
I definitely agree with that because in Louisiana, like last year, we didn't even have a winter. We didn't have, like we had maybe, 1 week, maybe 2 weeks of like in the 50s. But like this year, we're actually having a little chilly winter. Yeah. It's bizarre to me because, I wear shorts all the time, even during the winter. And so there are some days where I'm actually debating on if I should actually put on jeans for the first time in like years,
Gosh. Dude, I have to like rotate my closet for 4 seasons. No, I'm not even joking. I'm not even joking. Last week it was -2. That was the degree. So the wind chill was like -15. And then this week it's like 50. And so when it's 50 here in the wintertime, we're out in shorts and cutoffs, and I'm like, oh, hey, let's go practice outside, you know, and it's
let's go for a swim.
February. So yeah, I'm with you. Let's go back before the preservative tank. All right, let's go back before that. Let's go back to where you kind of, you know, went to school and where you're from, and kind of give us a background of who you are.
Well, my father was in the Air Force, and he met my mother over in England, and that's where I was conceived. But I was born here in the States. Myself, my brother, and my sister were all born in Florida. And then we moved all around the United States for the next, about the next 17 years or so. We spent time in Colorado and Michigan and Washington State before my father finally retired and we settled in the state of Texas. So Texas is where I finished high school. It's where I got my undergraduate degree. And it's where I first stepped on the stage as an actor and did my thing there, and really sort of like got the idea that I wanted to go and try to be in television and the movies. So
hey, nothing wrong with that at all, man. So let's go ahead and talk about that first step onto the stage, and you know, to have a glimpse of what it was all about. Tell us about the first time you actually stepped on stage.
Well, when I was younger, I was a huge comic book nerd. I read comic books and then got into science fiction movies and horror movies, and I would always act out my comic books for my parents. My dad in the Air Force, we had like an old torn up parachute that I would string up, and that would be the curtain, and I would draw it back and act out comic books for my parents, and they'd be like, "Yeah, great." But then when I got into high school, that's when I really sort of like decided that, hey, maybe I want to try to take my shot at this. And I got cast as the Cowardly Lion in a production of Wizard of Oz, and that was that. So yeah,
that's a perfect role.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, and to before we get too far, because I don't want to forget. You know, growing up talking about comic books, what is your go-to, or what was your go-to comic growing up?
I was always more of a Marvel fan than DC. I mean, I liked Superman and Batman, but I was really drawn towards. I always felt like the Marvel characters were more down to earth. They were, somebody that lived, down the street from you or something like that. So I was a big fan. Captain America is like my go-to hero. But I was a big fan of Daredevil and Luke Cage and a lot of the Avenger characters. So, once the MCU movie started, I was just in seventh heaven. It was just awesome.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, when it comes down to Daredevil, man, one of the greatest accomplishments that Daredevil ever, was or had was, I don't know if you've seen, I'm sure you have, the Netflix show. Yeah. I mean, one of the most perfected work of art, I'm going to call it, because it was just so incredible, man. I've watched. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the folks over at Marvel under Kevin Feige, they really understand the how to tell stories well in a visual medium with these characters, the way that we haven't seen them done before in other movies and stuff. But like, especially with the Netflix shows and with the Disney Plus shows that they have, they really do a great job of showing the progression of the character from when Matt Murdock first decides that he's going to step out into the street and take justice into his own hands, and he starts off in the pure black, outfit with the mask and stuff, until you get to that final scene of him leaping off the rooftop in the red outfit, and that, the payoff was just really, really well timed and really well planned out, and I think they do that with so many of their movies. They understand that the fans will sit and wait for that single moment that justifies for them that all of this is really truly happening and is real. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I remember that first movie in 2008 with Iron Man. And it was that minute scene at the end with Nick Fury stepping out and saying, "You're part of a bigger universe." And we're thinking, that's what we've been waiting for 40 years to hear, is that all of these things are connected. You get it. You understand. And from there, it's just been, you know, one moment after another of little Easter eggs that people find. And it just, you know, pushes that little dopamine button in all of our
Tell us about, you know, how exactly you got your start from Hollywood.
It kind of is tied in with my undergraduate college years, because when I went to college, I went to Southwest Texas State University in San Marcos, Texas, which now is just called Texas State. And I made a lot of friends there. And once I reached the end of that program and got my Bachelor of Fine Arts in acting, I had decided to go to graduate school. I had auditioned and gotten into the University of Pittsburgh's Master of Fine Arts program. So I was heading to Pennsylvania to do that program. While a lot of my friends in Texas either stayed in college or they went out to California. A lot of them moved to Los Angeles and stuff like that. So when I finished with the master's program at the University of Pittsburgh, I decided I wanted to go to LA as well. So I had a network of friends already living in LA that I could meet up with and talk about what their experience has been over the last couple of years, you know, where I should go, what I should do, that sort of thing. And because of that, that's how I got the phone call that let me know that Saban Entertainment was putting together this kids television pilot for the show that was called Dino Rangers at the time. And my friend from Southwest Texas State University, Stacy Fish, was working as a second assistant director on the pilot that they were shooting, called me up and said, "Hey, do you want to come down and audition for this role? I think you'd be great for it." And I said, "Sure, that's what I came to LA for." And I'd only been in Los Angeles a couple of months. I got there in August and the audition was in October.
Wow.
I thought it was going to be just a regular cattle call. You know, you go down there, there's 15,000 other guys. You read a couple of lines into a camera and then you go home and you never hear anything. But when I got down there, it was just me and another guy. And they said, "Hey, we're going to cast this role tonight and we're going to shoot it next week. Are you available?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm available." And I thought it was very strange that it was going this fast, that it was sort of kind of off the cuff. You know, they were just kind of, you know, we need to get this done now or whatever. And you know, when I met the original cast, I found out that they had gone through weeks of auditions. They had gone through a number of rounds of both physical and you know, acting auditions and stuff. And here they were, just sort of like, "We need to do this right now." And it was very strange to, you know, be told, "Okay, you're going to be auditioning for a 10,000-year-old wizard trapped in a time warp. Go." And that's all the information we were given. And the other guy went to one corner and I went to the other. And he went in first, was in there for about 20 minutes or so, then came out, and I went in, met the director, met the producers, met some of the people from the studio, met the original cast, and then they had me stand up on a table, and the rest is history. So,
wow, that sounds really easy.
I mean, I was at the time I was part of an improv group out in LA called the LA Connection, and
oh wow!
I had met a number of people there, you know, doing improv comedy and stuff, and I would listen to them tell their stories about how they'd been living in LA for 15 years and had yet to be cast in something really big. You know, they do like one line in a commercial, or they'd be background actors for a scene in a movie, but they never really kind of like got anything. And here I was 2 months in, and I had a role on a TV show, and I was like, I don't know what happened. So it was just sort of like a real bolt of lightning, you know, just sort of like a real lucky chance. But I had also been preparing for 10 years to get there. So I knew what I needed to do when I was handed the lines, and I used the training that I had learned, the craft that I had built up over the years, and it was just a meeting of the right place, the right time, the right person. So yeah.
And
Man.
did that kind of create a snowball effect in your life, essentially? I mean, because a lot of stories don't start that way. A lot of stories start the exact opposite, and but from there, where'd you go?
I wish I could say it snowballed upward, but it didn't really. It was really kind of a bittersweet experience for me, because it was really cool to be cast and to have my name at the beginning credits of the show. But I also felt very disconnected from the show, because I only filmed the character one time and recycled that footage over and over and never had to pay me for it. And I would just go in. I would just go in like every 5 or 6 weeks and do lines for 3 or 4 episodes and then go away again. I was not on set with the other actors. I was never, I never really felt like I was getting that typical Hollywood television show experience where you're in front of the camera all the time. You're talking with the director. You're getting notes and stuff like that. It was just all very, kind of behind the scenes kind of stuff. And I on one hand, it was really great because I got to see how stuff got put together and, the peek behind the curtain kind of stuff, and saw how corners got cut to save money in order to make these things work. And, but at the same time, I wasn't getting that sort of, down and dirty actor experience that I wanted, being on the camera, doing that kind of thing. So by the time that the show got around and to be on the air, I was done with being in LA. I went out there late. I was 29 when I went out there. Most people, when they go out to LA, are in their early 20s. They're 22, 23, something like that.
Let's bring our special guest on. What a better time than the present for our guy, our reoccurring segment, Mr. Charlton. What's happening, brother?
Oh, nothing much. It's been great. So glad I get to meet Mr. Zordon himself.
So I want to say, like, Charlton and I, we love going to conventions. It is one of our favorite things to do. Whatever really comes to Louisiana, we try to go do. And, now we're kind of sprouting out. We're going to try and go to these different ones in Texas and everything, which we've been to, like Comic Palooza. We've been to like a couple of them, but we have not seen you at any of these. So my first question for you is, when are you going to come to us?
I was supposed to be in Beaumont, I think back in January, but that was canceled or whatever. But I've been to a number of conventions in the Louisiana area. It's just, again, with COVID and everything, things kind of got shut down for a couple of years. But it seems like they're opening back up, and I'm fully vaxxed and boosted and ready to go. So, I mean, if a show contacts my booking agent and they want to bring me out, or they want to have like several Power Rangers and Zordon or whatever there, I mean, I'll go wherever they want me to go.
I think just Zordon would be okay with us. just saying, man. We've been lucky to meet Nakia and Miss Karen as well. Virtually and in person. It's been incredible. But like, I'm looking forward to actually seeing you, man.
Be prepared to be disappointed. Like I said, I'm not
oh man,
as blue as I used to be.
Charlton, you had a couple questions you wanted to ask Mr. David, man. Fire away here.
Definitely. Yeah, no, I thought that was very interesting that they kind of just hey, do your voice roles and then hey, skedaddle. But were there any plans in the writing to get Zordon out the tube and have you in like a live action role or scene?
Based on my experience and the information that I was given, I don't think that they had any plans to bring Zordon out of the tube. And I think the main reason for that, because there was no Zordon toys.
Interesting.
The main reason that the Power Rangers got made in the first place was because there were toys to sell. And what's unique about Power Rangers is that unlike other television and children's television programming like He-Man or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or whatever, when those shows debuted on the air, kids would normally have to wait 6-8 months before those toys showed up on the store shelves.
Wow.
With Power Rangers, the day the first episode aired, the toys were already on the shelves. So kids could watch the show and then have the toy in their hand, and they could recreate all the stuff. So I think that really sort of like is what skyrocketed it into the stratosphere. Because, I mean, they made $1 billion in merchandising the first year.
Wow.
And
You're welcome.
and for that reason, I don't think that they had any plans to bring Zordon outside of the tube because there was no merchandise to push him. So Zordon, I think, was just seen for the most part as just sort of an expository device. He was the one that would deliver information and then congratulate everybody at the end. That was just sort of like his role in the series. But you know, it would have been nice, you know, had I been able to do more stuff with the character. But I don't think that they had any sort of plans like that at all. I'm not sure, you know, if they were going to do anything different from the movie, but
Right.
you know, the movie Zordon doesn't look like anything like me from the TV series, so
It's true.
It's
Yeah.
it was really cool in the 2017 movie to see Bryan Cranston as Zordon, and he was he was a Red Ranger.
Right.
Okay, that's very cool. So
Yeah. So that means that basically that's your prequel story right there, man.
And if you're reading the comic books, Zordon has a body, and he's out there doing stuff on Altar, so that's very cool.
Man.
Nice.
Charles,
That's awesome.
You told me an insane story off camera about said comic book, right? And first of all,
Right.
I had no clue, and maybe it's just me, and it says more about me. I didn't know there was a comic. I thought it all came from Japan, I believe, and that could not be factual either. That could be a lie. I don't know. Who am I?
Right.
But you had an incredible comic book story, and now knowing that David used to read comics, let's talk about what you said off camera, Charlton.
Right. So basically, I was giving Matt the rundown about the Draken storyline. About there's out of all the different Tommies in the multiverse, there was one that did not join the Power Rangers, and he decided that he wanted them to get away from him, and that he would join Rita on his own free will. And based on, I didn't read the comic particularly. I just did the. I did the video. I didn't have it in my hand, but I had
David's disappointed with you now.
Stuff like that. Yeah, he's mad.
No. I mean, the Shattered Grid storyline, this is what Charles is talking about. It's really, really cool. Kyle Higgins, the writer of that, plotted out this amazing story where Lord Draken, this Tommy Oliver from another universe, basically picks apart all the Power Rangers throughout time and becomes lord over everyone. We actually did a staged reading of part of the Shattered Grid for the 2018 Power Morphicon. If you look it up on YouTube, you can actually watch all of us read our parts. It was the first time that Barbara Goodson, who was the voice of Rita Repulsa, and I were on stage together, trading lines back and forth, and it was really, really cool. So, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, Matt was just blown away. He's like, oh my God, like there was the one Tommy that, kills Jason in the comics and like merges his powers but basically both of his powers into one power. And yeah, Matt was just like, oh my God, like can't believe it.
So the latest string of comics is going into the Eltarian War, where Zordon fights one of his leaders, one of his own mentors, who ends up becoming Lord Zed, So
Oh,
Wow, I didn't know that. Okay.
yeah, it's this really great sort of retelling of all the stories that we watched in these episodes, but from a different, little bit more of a mature point of view. And
Right.
I think it just expands and makes the Power Rangers stuff even more relevant today than what it was back in the 90s. So
I think so too, because when it comes down to like the reboot that they had a couple years ago, I know it didn't do well box office money wise, but the movie was really good. Like it was actually, I felt it connected to the younger, to the older generation of Power Rangers, to the kids today. It was a bit darker, I guess you could say, a little more grim.
Yeah.
But like, especially the beginning with Zordon, like I said, with Bryan Cranston and everything, that was incredible, and that's, I have not seen any Power Rangers since, I don't know, 2006, I think was the last time I've watched it, but I've watched some scenes of Power Rangers. I'm not even going to say anything because I know we might even have them on one day, but like enough is enough when it comes down to some of these people and the lines they're given to deliver. It's Charlton tells me all the time, you got to watch this scene. And I'm like, but
man.
it's
well,
really,
you have to remember that the show is made for a certain demographic. It's not made for us or whatever.
yeah.
Like Aaron says, Power Rangers is rated G with extra cheese. I mean, it's kind of silly, but it's also really awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the 2017 movie too. I mean, I thought, they really captured the heart of what the Power Rangers was all about, these differing teams come together and become friends and back each other up and stand up against what needs to be done. And, they took a little bit long to get there, and
Yeah.
it would have been nice to see them fight outside of the suits, much like they did in the show. And
A little less Breakfast Club.
and I wish they would have done Goldar differently, but
Yeah. That was a major complaint from me as well. Godard didn't exactly work for me, but the kids, the kids and the people who were those individuals, were just phenomenal, and especially Kimberly. Kimberly's essence was, there in every single way, and I even loved what they did to Billy, like just having people like that, and
well,
just
I liked what they did with Zordon, because Zordon in the movie was kind of a jerk.
He tells him, "Get out."
So focused on solving the problem of defeating Rita again, that you can't see the potential of these young kids.
Yeah.
It's only through giving up his chance to return, to give the energy to revive Billy, that he sort of like accepts the mantle. Okay, I'm going to be the mentor. I'm going to be the one to guide these kids. And so there was a nice little redemptive arc, but I did like the fact that he was kind of a jerk to begin with.
different, but it worked out so well, I know, which one of the next things I like to kind of get your thoughts on. There's a new Power Ranger universe coming out, isn't it, for Netflix? Isn't Charlton?
Yeah. So it's supposed to be like, I don't know, like TV14. I don't think it'll be like TVMA, but it won't be. It won't be like the Power Ranger, Power/Ranger fan film where Zach is like a crackhead and Bulk Skull. Yeah, you remember that? Bulk and Skull were like heroin addicts and stuff like that. It was insane. Oh my god, it was so good. But like, and then they had the whole Saban wanted to sue the creators and stuff like that because
they did a good job.
Yeah,
I really like that little film that Joseph Kahn and Adi Shankar put together. I mean, Joseph Kahn's an amazing director and had a really great sense of action and color and style. And so, when I was watching, I was like, oh, this is really awesome. This is very cool.
Yes.
At the same time, I was like going, it's not Power Rangers. So, I mean, I was good enough that I was like, okay, I can look at it and go, that's pretty freaking awesome. But at the same time, I'm like, it's not Power Rangers.
Right.
And that's what's bad. That's the only bad thing. And But I mean, I'm really glad that they're creating these universes or these new movies or shows. And, I just wish they would do, I know the 2017 movie was for us, but I just wish they would do something for us, and it'll be a little more long-term than just the movie.
What I'm really hoping for and keeping my fingers crossed for is that they do some sort of animated show, an animated movie, and that way,
yes,
they could set it anywhere at any time. They could bring in other characters from different seasons, and all of us are around. I mean, we could voice those characters. We could, and that way you get the new audiences with the new animation, and you bring in the old audiences who like the characters from those age, and you just marry those two together. And I think that's one of the best ways to sort of like do that. And you look at what Critical Role is doing with, the Legend of Vox Machina on Amazon Prime. And it's very clear that animation has a huge audience. And if they want to tap into the next generation of Power Rangers fans, I think that's one of the best ways they can do that.
Yeah. Man, that sounds incredible, and it's something that will work, like you said, especially voices, and we can hear Zordon again.
It definitely did. So they did something kind of like that in the Battle for the Grid video game, and I was really happy to see Zordon and Doggy Kruger in the same scene together, because I remember watching SPD and being like, oh my god, like this guy is like. But other than Zordon, like this guy is like the best.
Doggy Kruger is awesome, man.
Yeah, he's awesome. Best mentor for a group of Rangers I've ever seen, other than Zordon.
Like, our circle,
he's great. That's guys. That's the best Disney Power Rangers season that I have ever seen. I will
SPD?
go on record say, SPD. I'll go on record and say that.
Is that the ones with the ambulance?
They're like the space cops.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, man. Dude,
I like the dog symbol on their.
I'm not gonna lie to you, man. There's so many Power Rangers shows that every time I see somebody, it gives me a flashback to like watching it. But like I forgot. Like, of course, you never forget Mighty Morphin. Who can ever say they can't name all the Power Rangers? They can't name Alpha, Zordon. But like, I was looking at a picture the other day. And the girl looked like she was from Xenon. No, it was from Power Rangers. And I was like, oh my goodness, like I forgot about that season or that, that show. And now it did, like I said, nowadays I'm giving up. There's no way I'm going 13 years of what's out there now. But who knows? Who knows? Because I did watch that episode where they all reunited, even though I don't think it was all them in the costumes. But you had you had different Power Rangers from generations and everything, and they all, I don't know what happened, but I remember Tommy being in the front lines, and I was like, all right, I'll watch this episode. I
know which one you're talking about, yeah.
And then I was lost after that because I was like, I don't know what happened.
That was Megaforce in the Legacy War, wasn't that?
The Legacy War.
Legacy War.
Oh, man. Good. That's the kind of stuff that I wish we can get. But there's a thing called a budget, and they can get 10 generations or whatever of Power Rangers, but yeah, Mr. David, I want to ask you something else if you don't mind, which I'm sure you don't because you're here, right? Mr. David, so we for instance, okay, Matt has never been to a con,
right? So
I want you to tell him what are your favorite things about going to these conventions?
My favorite thing about going to conventions is meeting the fans, meeting people that come up to the table and want to tell you their stories about what the show meant to them. That's always my favorite part. My second favorite part is watching the creativity of all the cosplayers and the amount of time and work and passion that they put into recreating these costumes from Samus, from Metroid, and all this stuff, Master Chief, whatever your favorite franchise is, there's going to be a cosplay of it, and to see that is just really fantastic. But If you've never been to a convention, it can be very overwhelming. There's a lot of sensory input. I myself am an introvert, so at the end of every day, I just have to go back to the hotel room and collapse because it just pulls everything out of you, but in a very positive way. There are so many people there who are engaged and just giddy about whatever their collection is, whatever their fandom is, and it's just a giant room full of people who are sort of sharing this communal experience of I share this and you share this, and that's what's really awesome about it. And yeah, I mean, there are some downsides to it. I mean, sometimes if you go to New York Comic Con, it is huge and there are so many people, and waiting in line to get food is a nightmare. And, there are little things that you could point out that'd be like, I wish they get rid of that. But I mean, overall, it's just even if you just do it one time, it's one of those experiences that is just a lot of fun, and at least for me, they're always very positive. So
yeah, well, there you go, man. You got to go.
I'm definitely on board. What I've heard you say is you like storytelling, right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'd be crazy to not ask. Did you enjoy Arrow, the series?
I didn't. I don't watch a lot of television these days because.
Good answer.
As a writer and a storyteller, I'm busy working on my own stuff. So I don't like to watch a lot of episodic television because I don't want to be influenced by it, but also because I don't have access to it. I don't have cable television. I just have a few streaming services, and I think Arrow is on Netflix, so I could probably watch it if I wanted to. I did watch Titans on HBO Max and really enjoyed that. But I think it was one of those series where they were able to go a little bit mature with it. So, but I understand that the Arrow series was fairly grim in nature, or at least a little bit more in the 24 vein of action-oriented television. Steve Amell is fantastic as the character. I've seen clips and stuff, but I didn't watch the series from beginning to end or episode to episode, simply because I don't have access to it, or I'm too busy doing something else. So.
No, that's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, I'm the only one in love with it. That's and everybody knows it. So it's
oh, that's cool. That's your thing, man.
Yeah. I would say I liked the first 2 seasons. Then 3 was
masterpieces.
4 was
masterpieces.
4 was 5 and 6 were pretty good, and then 7 I couldn't finish it.
You got pretty far. I got to season 4 and I said, nah. Mr. David, let me ask you, when it comes to conventions, there's big conventions and there's small conventions. So what are your thoughts on going to a big convention like New York versus like something like, I don't know any small cities. So Nebraska. A small city.
The one Nebraska. We're going to, Shreveport.
Oh, there you go, Shreveport. Sure.
Shreveport or Bossier City, those were both fairly small cons. And the pros for a small con is that at some point during the weekend, I'm going to have time to walk around. I can visit other booths. I can visit other guests and stuff like that. If I'm in someplace like New York Comic Con, the whole day is taken up with meeting with people because there's just so many people who are at the Power Ranger booth or interested in Power Rangers. And so there's no time to actually go see what else is out there. And at New York Comic Con, there is a ton of stuff, but you never get to see it because you're too busy doing your own thing. But at a smaller con, that's the biggest pro for a smaller con is that you do get to to walk around. You get to see more of it. You get to look at the merchandise and just get more a better view of the vibe of the whole place.
I see on here that you have ventured into maybe a writing career, or is that something that you're interested in or that you're pursuing long term?
Oh yeah, I'm published. I have my Lincoln Bright series out now. It's a paranormal supernatural series if you're into that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The first 2 books have been published, and the 3rd one will be out this year. And then I have to write the 4th one to wrap it all up. But that's what I'm writing. That's what I do nowadays. So it's just write stories, write short stories, novels, that kind of thing. So.
We'll definitely have to check it out because I love paranormal stuff.
Yes.
I'm not good with the movies or shows because like Charlton, he comes over and he's like, oh, yeah, we're going to watch this. He made me watch that Terrifier movie and stuff. The clown,
I remember.
I had nightmare. Yeah,
almost killed both of them.
Like we almost
we interviewed him. I remember.
Yeah, we interviewed the guy, and I was just terrified for like weeks. And but books and things and like reading stories about murders and things like that.
Well, I'm like you. I hate watching slasher movies or horror movies. I hate
Charlton.
kind of jump scare. I hate that kind of thing. And
I
I find myself able to write these stories because it's kind of my way of dealing with the world. Because when I was younger and in high school, I played a lot of Dungeons and Dragons and was really into fantasy kind of stuff. And because for me, fantasy is always about hope. There's the good guys are going to win, the light's going to come back, and that's what fantasy was for me. But as I've gotten older and things that have happened in the world, the world seems to be a lot darker, a lot scarier than it used to be. And so by writing these horror stories, by writing these very terrifying scenes in these books, it's my way of sort of like taking everything that's in the world, processing it and putting out there and going, okay, I've dealt with that. And so not only am I trying to tell good stories, but I'm also kind of using them as therapy in a way to sort of make myself feel better about where we are in our human journey so far. So.
Yeah, because nowadays it's like like you said, everything's a little darker these days, and at times you can kind of see that light come back in, and it seems like one day we might be there might be a little more light to be let in, but
I mean that's just a function of the fact that we have the internet. Things come at us 24/7, every second of the day. It's just a constant influx of information and headlines, and all of those headlines are telling you need to be afraid, you need to be scared, this is something you need to look out for. And all of us are just in our houses going, well, okay, I guess. And so we turn to things to escape because we don't want to have to deal with all of this heavy stuff that's all about us. And I'll go back and I'll watch Captain America and the Winter Soldier for the 7th time.
Good movie to choose, by the way, for a good escape.
Let us know what you got coming up next, man. We appreciate you being here. Where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at David J. Fielding or on Instagram at DJFielding_Zordon. I'm going to be in Lexington, Kentucky in March for Lexington Comic Con. And then I'll be in Grand Rapids, Michigan in April for Grand Rapids Comic Con.
Everybody's looking forward to these cons, man. I got to get to one, man. I have to.
It's incredible, man. Once you go to one, you go to many. Nobody just goes to one con,
This guy, dressed as Arrow. This guy.
Wizard World used to go to Omaha. I don't know if they still go up there or not. But,
Caleb, I think you guys did.
Yeah, Wizard World, they kind of sold to Fan Expo, and we actually went to Fan Expo, me and Charlton, a couple weeks ago in New Orleans, and had a great time. You know, that's where we met Nakia and Karen. Looking forward to like when you know when things go back to normal at cons too, because I know like right now everyone's on edge about going, not going. You know, artists and celebrities too. You know, but my first con, by the way, was Comic Palooza about 7-8 years ago, and it was in Houston.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, the most massive thing I've ever been to in my life. Had every boy band member there, like, because they made a zombie movie. They had like 50, 60 celebrities there.
Oh yeah.
You know, and now, right now, with the cons we've been going to, there's only been like 5-10 celebrities, even the bigger ones, because everybody drops out on the day of, you know. And so I'm looking forward to when things go back to a bit more normal for those. And because I mean, I don't really go for the celebrities, I go for the vendors.
Sure.
But it's always great, like seeing somebody you grew up with or somebody you like. And
yeah, I mean, I'm really glad I'm not a collector of anything, because you can lose your shirt buying all that. I looked at some of the Power Rangers fan, and they've shown me pictures of their collections and their walls of stuff, and I'm like going, that's got to be at least $50,000 worth of toys. Holy crap!
Ooh, man, yeah, I don't collect anything, thankfully. Usually, I go there and I'm like, I try to look for like things to collect, but I never find anything to start collecting. Like, I don't want to collect Funkos. You know, I believe once you have one, you have to have them all, like Pokemon. You know, but I'm not trying to start that kind of thing. So. We had got some Funkos a while back, and it was like 4 or 5 of them. And I said, I'll never buy them again. And every now and then I go to the store and I see like, you know, James Spader as Red Reddington for Blacklist. And I'm like, oh, I want this. And I'm like, nope. Because then I have to get, you know, this person, that person on the show. And that's where they get you, you know. But no, man, you know, going to conventions, you know, is just, that is one of my escapes. You know, it is because, you know, first of all, a big majority of people you meet, they just want to talk. They just want to hang out. They, you know, they want to communicate with you, even just peer to peer, you know?
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for conventions, I wouldn't be talking to you guys. I mean,
that's true.
Power Rangers has continued on throughout the years, but it really, my booking agent always says that, you know, there's the big 3. There's Star Trek, there's Star Wars, and there's Power Rangers. And whatever convention you go to, and I don't care where you are in the world, you're always going to see somebody dressed as somebody from Star Wars, somebody from Star Trek, and there's always going to be a Power Ranger there. And so our show was on the air before the pop culture explosion happened. There were no conventions back there. There was nothing like that. So my cast and all the other casts, you know, we are very grateful for conventions, because they allow us to continue to do what we do and to continue to meet guys like you and to share your stories and just sort of be a part of the whole thing. And that's just really great. So
it is. It's like I said before, it's an honor to be able to bring people onto our show, people like you, just people we grew up with, and something we never thought as a child would ever be possible is like doing this, you know. And but I personally want to thank you for coming on the show. I think it's amazing.
My pleasure. You're awesome.
When you said yes, we were like, Zordon, bro. Zordon.
The mountain has been climbed. The mountain has been climbed.
So we have reached the peak. You know, there's nowhere else to go but down. But we will continue going up. But Charlton, go ahead and give your closing thoughts, man.
Oh, I mean, this has just been such a pleasure. You know, they invited me to do the previous episode with Nakia and Miss Catherine, and that was just great. And I got to, you know, I got to play the Power Rangers Mari role, which was pretty awesome. You're like, hey, Kat, is Tom your baby daddy? We saw that on the Ninja Steel.
He did.
And she was like, the DNA test tells that, yes, I am the mother of Tommy's child. Yes.
I don't think that was her answer. I don't think that was it.
No, it's kind of like that, but no, I'm kidding. But no, this has been great. I'm so glad I got to, just be here with you guys and you, Mr. David, and just just ask my little question, and that was pretty cool. So thank you for that.
Keep reading those comic books, man.
Yes, either that or the abridged versions on YouTube.
The summaries, huh?
The summaries.
Mr. David, thank you for taking the time to hang out with us. This is more of a hangout session than it was an interview, and we are perfectly okay with that.
Yes,
but whenever we see your name at a convention and you are close by, hopefully you'll remember us. But we will be there. We will absolutely be there, man.
Come on over, say hi, hang out for a while.
You'd be like, oh yeah, I remember you. But you can be like, what was it? Like Nakia and Catherine were on here, and they didn't remember Charlton, which Nakia had met Charlton. He's like, oh yeah, we met before. And she's like, really? Who are you? It was like funny. a week before she met him.
I'll be like, where's the guy from Nebraska? Come on.
Still not at one. It's in his basement recording these.
But thank you so much, Mr. David. If there's anything we can do to help and promote anything you're doing, especially your book, let us know when the fourth one comes out. We will happily give that to the fans, and and once again, thank you so much, man. This is a podcast for the fans, by the
fans. Peace.
Whoa! It's the freaking Frack Show, a podcast